Two people, same company, same job title, same salary for 30 years. One of them retires comfortably at 60, the other is still working at 70. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Same income, same opportunities, completely different financial lives. This isn't a rare story. It plays out in every city, every office, every neighborhood in America. And the reason it happens has almost nothing to do with how much money either person earned. The reason goes much deeper than that. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's what most people believe about wealth. They believe it's a natural consequence of income. That if you earn enough money, wealth follows automatically. That the path is simple. Get a good education, land a well-paying job, work hard, and eventually arrive at financial security. It sounds reasonable. It's what most of us were taught, directly or indirectly, by the people who raised us, the schools that educated us, and the culture that surrounded us. But there's a problem with that belief. A serious one. If income automatically created wealth, then nearly every high-earning American would be financially secure. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, corporate managers earning six figures for decades. But study after study tells a different story. A significant percentage of high-income earners in the United States live paycheck to paycheck. Professionals with household incomes above $200,000 have reported having less than a month's worth of expenses saved. Some of the highest paid people in the country are one financial emergency away from serious trouble. How is that possible? That's the first thing we need to understand, because the answer reveals something about wealth that most people spend their entire lives never figuring out. There's a phenomenon that economists call lifestyle inflation, and it is quietly responsible for destroying more financial futures than almost any other force in personal finance. Here's how it works. You get your first real job, you're earning more than you ever have. It feels like more than enough, and for a moment you save a little. Things feel manageable. Then you get a raise, a promotion, your income climbs, then almost without noticing it, your spending climbs right alongside it. You upgrade your apartment, you lease a better car, you eat at nicer restaurants, you take the vacation you always told yourself you'd take when you could afford it. None of those things are wrong. But here's what happens to the gap between what you earn and what you spend. It stays the same, or it shrinks. And sometimes, in ways people never intend, it disappears entirely. This is lifestyle inflation. Your standard of living rises in perfect lockstep with your income, leaving you with nothing left over to build anything lasting. You're earning more than you ever have, and somehow feeling like it's never quite enough. Sound familiar? The average American household income has risen significantly over the past 3 decades. But the average American household savings rate has not kept pace. In fact, at various points in recent history, it has declined. People are earning more and saving less, not because they're irresponsible, but because the default behavior of rising income is rising consumption. And consumption, no matter how expensive, builds nothing. This brings us to the most important distinction in personal finance, one that the majority of people never truly grasp. Earning money and building wealth are not the same thing. Read that again, because it sounds obvious, but its implications are not obvious at all. Earning money means exchanging your time and effort for income. You work. You get paid. The moment you stop working, the income stops. That's earnings. Building wealth means creating assets that generate value or income independently of your time. Things that work while you sleep. Things that grow, whether you show up or not. That's wealth. The critical insight is this: earned income by itself cannot make you wealthy. It can keep you comfortable. It can cover your expenses. It can fund a decent life. But the moment that income stops, the moment you retire, lose your job, or face a health crisis, everything dependent on it becomes fragile. Wealth is what remains when your income stops. And for most Americans, very little remains. The mechanism that bridges earnings and wealth is investing. And most people either don't use it, don't understand it, or use it too late for it to do what it's capable of doing. Here's where the story gets both uncomfortable and genuinely exciting. Because the most powerful force in wealth building isn't money, it's time. And this is where most people make the costliest mistake of their financial lives, not through bad decisions, but through delay. Consider two people. Both want to build wealth. Both invest $300 a month in a broad market index fund returning 7% annually, roughly the historical average of the US stock market after inflation. The first person starts at 25. The second person starts at 35. They both stop contributing at 65. The first person invests for 40 years, the second for 30, a 10-year difference. The first person ends up with approximately $800,000. The second ends up with approximately $350,000. Almost $500,000 separating them from the same monthly investment, the same return rate, in just 10 years. That gap has a name: compound growth. The principle that your returns generate their own returns. That wealth doesn't grow in a straight line, it accelerates. Slowly at first, almost invisibly. Then dramatically, almost shockingly, in the later years. Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not, the math makes the case for itself. And here's the part nobody talks about loudly enough. The people who take full advantage of compound growth are not necessarily smarter, not necessarily higher earners, not necessarily luckier. They simply started earlier and stayed consistent. Time is not a background factor in wealth building. It is the primary ingredient. And it is the one ingredient that becomes permanently more expensive with every year you wait. So why do some people understand this and act on it, while others don't? This is where the conversation shifts from mechanics to mindset. And it may be the most important shift in this entire video. Study the financial habits of people who build lasting wealth. Not the lottery winners, not the inheritance recipients, but the people who built it from ordinary incomes over ordinary lifetimes. And a pattern emerges. They think differently about money. Not more intelligently, differently. Most people think about money in terms of income. How much do I earn? How much can I spend? What can I afford? Income is the frame through which they see everything financial. Wealthy people, the quietly wealthy, the ones you might never guess by looking at them, tend to think in terms of assets. What do I own? What is working for me? What is growing when I'm not actively doing anything? That mental shift, from income to assets, from earning to owning, changes every financial decision they make. It changes how they react to a pay increase. Instead of immediately expanding their lifestyle, they ask, what asset can I acquire with this? It changes how they think about a car. A car is not a status symbol in their framework. It's a depreciating liability, something that loses value and costs money to maintain. They drive what they need, not what signals their current income. It changes their relationship with patience. Because assets, particularly invested assets, require time to produce meaningful results. And people who think in terms of assets have trained themselves to think in years and decades, not months. This isn't about deprivation. It isn't about living poorly to die rich. It's about understanding the difference between spending money and deploying it, between consuming and building. And it is a learnable way of thinking. Nobody is born with it. The people who have it developed it, often deliberately, often after realizing that income alone was never going to be enough. Here's the truth that ties everything in this video together. Wealth is not built in a moment. It is not found. It is not won. It is constructed, slowly, systematically, through habits repeated over years and decades. The people who build it are not special. They are not exclusively high earners. They are not lucky in ways that others aren't. They are people who understood a few fundamental things early enough to act on them. That income is a tool, not a destination. That lifestyle inflation is a silent wealth killer. that invested money grows in ways that earned money never can. That time is the most valuable variable in the entire equation, and that the gap between earning a good income and building actual wealth is a gap that only consistent behavior maintained over time can close. This is why most people never build wealth. Not because the path is inaccessible, not because the information is hidden, but because the path requires patience in a culture that rewards instant gratification, consistency in a world full of distraction, and long-term thinking in a system designed to sell you the short term. The people who understand that, who really understand it, are playing a completely different game than everyone else around them. And now, so do you. If this changed the way you think about money, even slightly, that's a beginning. But understanding why people don't build wealth is only the first part of the picture. The next question is, where do you actually put your money to make it grow? Because one of the most powerful and misunderstood wealth-building vehicles in American history isn't a stock, isn't a fund, and isn't anything most people think of first. It's real estate, and how it actually works. The mechanics, the risks, the strategies ordinary people have used to build extraordinary financial security is exactly what we're breaking down next.